Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to the finals of the Greendale, Wisconsin City Championship. We actually have a rematch from the finals of the Kenosha, Wisconsin City Championship between two-time world champion Jason Klaczynski on the left and once again me on the right. Still wearing the same dumb red jacket, huh? Yep, I sure am. Anyway, this is going to be a complete rematch from yesterday. It's going to be Blastoise Keldeo versus Ho-Oh once again. And it should be another good matchup. As we shake hands. And I'm going first with a Mewtwo. So, Mewtwo, this is probably my best starter in this matchup. One of the best, actually. Between Sucevich and Mewtwo, those are the two best starters. Buffalon is also very good. Everything else is either very bad, that would be Ho-Oh, or okay, which is Terrakion. So right off the bat, I am just going for my Sucevich, since that is really good in this matchup. Since I know Jason does not play any Sucevich counters, I know that this is going to be very useful. And if I can power this up, it's going to force him to use a lot of resources to knock out. It's safe from stuff. And he's saying yes. Finally you end me when I had a garbage hand. Usually he's got like a perfect hand from the start. And all he had were 3 rare candies, a level ball, and some junk. So, you know, I had to end him. I didn't have any other supporters, so I'm not upset about it. But, oh well. So he is gonna get a fresh hand of 6, so will I. And basically I'm aiming to get either a Psychic Energy in play or a double colorless this turn. Either one of those will be good with me. And I get the Psychic. So I can either computer search for a DCE this turn and X-Ball him for 40. Or I can just put a Psychic on to Sucevich and pass. Either one will work. But we'll see which one I decide to do. Long term, I would like to have the Psychic on the Sucevich. Short term, I could threaten a knockout on his Squirtle next turn. But I'm just going to go with Sucevich and pass. And now it's going to be up to Jason to decide what to do. The reason I didn't computer search for double colorless there is that I don't have a supporter. So I would rather just showing him in Sucevich. I have a reverse hollow one. I do not like that. I need a regular hollow Sucevich. It's much... the reverse hollow one just bugs me. It looks ugly. Now we see a Tropical Beach out of Jason. And he's got a lot of stuff. He's got a computer search. He's got an Ultra Ball. He's got Blastoise. So honestly, if he keeps his hand, he can just turn to get a Blastoise out. He's gonna bench a second Squirtle. He needs to do that, otherwise I could just kind of energy switch and X-Ball and knock out his only Squirtle. That's gonna be bad for him. But he's got to decide, does he want to play any other cards this turn? Does he want to play, like, that computer search for one? Looks like he is going to play it. And then just, like, grab a rare candy. And then Tropical Beach for, it'll be 4 cards. Setting himself up for a big turn next turn. As long as I don't end him. But having that computer search in my hand allows me to search for an N. So that's very nice. That is something I need to do. And we're going to start off very well. Jason's got a really good start, but I think I'll end up computer searching for an N and making him shuffle that away. Regardless. Still a scary, scary start. If I did not have an N, this would be perfect for him. And he actually goes for a Skyla instead. I've seen him use this tactic before. Skyla is not that great later on in the game. It's a consistency card early on in the game to go for a Tropical Beach, to go for a rare candy, you know, get your Blastoise out immediately. But you don't really want to draw them as the game progresses. Becomes a much weaker supporter. So he's going to computer search for the Skyla, and Skyla for the rare candy, and then Tropical Beach to draw until he has 7. Nice first turn. And you can see I'm not even cutting his deck, because we know each other very well. And there we go, Tropical Beach for 4. Now it'll be up to me to do something here. So clearly I'm going to computer search this turn. I'm going to grab N It just seems like the best way to go. Because I need to get rid of that rare candy Blastoise that's sitting in his hand. I know it's sitting there. He computer searched and he played a Skyla. Like, I know he's got both of those. And you can see I'm just computer searching, going right for N. And that will be played this turn. Might as well just switch to Sigilyph as well. Get him up there. And there's an N. So, Jason, yeah, I mean, he had a perfect turn 2 hand there. Now, as we're shuffling, you can see on the table there's a piece of paper that says McBurger. Now, this might intrigue you a bit. You might wonder why it's there. For some reason, Jason started calling his Keldeo EXs McBurger. And there's no real reason behind this. He just thought it was funny. He kept saying it. And then it started to annoy a couple people. So he kept saying it more. And he also says it in an Australian accent. So if you ever see him at a tournament, just ask him about McBurger. And he'll be happy to tell you all about it. But yeah, that's why that piece of paper is sitting there on the table. Now, off the end, I do get a double colorless, so I can Psychic for 50 here if I want to. And I'm just going to decide to do it. Go ahead. And I might as well put on the pressure. Psychic for 50. If I can knock out a Squirtle with a Sigilyph early on in the game, that's going to be huge. It seems really unlikely for him to have all the cards to go, you know, Rare Candy Blastoise, 4 Water, Hydro Pump, Knockout. It is just not going to happen. And, alright. So he has a Level Ball. He's going to play that. He might not grab anything. He might just be content to be with just these couple Squirtles out here. He's got a Blastoise in play. He doesn't want to bench an extra Squirtle that could get catchered and knocked out at some point for an easy prize. He will have to attack with Blastoise at some point, because it's the only way to really deal with Sigilyph with his deck. So it's a weird situation with prizes and stuff like that, to know what you should bench, what you shouldn't bench, all that good stuff. We do have a Keldeo EX coming down. It's going to deluge 1 energy to it. Deluge a 2nd energy to it. Now, is he going to rush in, or just kind of keep it on the bench and let Squirtle take the hit? And he's going to let Squirtle take the hit, so he's going to Tropical Beach for 7, or draw until he has 7, and then it'll be my turn. So far, so good for me. Cannot complain about anything. I've been able to just sit here with Sigilyph turn 2, get a nice Psychic knockout, and the Squirtle this turn. Basically, for me, this matchup is just all about buying enough time to get energy in play so that I can X-Ball for enough damage to knock out the correct things. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm going to have a Bianca. It looks like it's going to only draw 2 cards, but I guess it's better than nothing. Get a Ultra Ball and a Fighting. Don't really want to play either of those right now. No, I don't really need an Ultra Ball for anything, but I guess I'm going to do it anyway. I'm not really sure what I'm going to discard. I guess Energy Switch, and then I can get rid of a Fighting or the Super Scoop Up as well. I don't think I'll need the Super Scoop Up. Basically, I'm just going to get another Sigilyph or another Mewtwo into play. I guess I figure might as well just do it now. So I'm going for the Ultra Ball. I do play 2 Sigilyph in my deck at this time, just because the Blastoise Keldeo matchup has been so popular. Sigilyph has been very nice in that matchup for me. So I added a second one to deal with all that stuff. And there we go. It was also good against stuff like Landorus, Mewtwo, which really didn't play many non-EX attackers. So once you removed the non-EX Pokemon from play, you just come in with Sigilyph and sweep. And there we go. Psychic. Gonna get my first knockout of the game here. And put some pressure on Jason to do something about it. Now, he does have a fresh hand of 7 from that beach. And he probably will have enough energy this turn to Hydro Pump me for a knockout. The problem with that is that if he commits all of his energy to this Blastoise, I could then just drop a double colorless, X-Ball him with Mewtwo, and he doesn't have a Blastoise in play anymore. And then eventually I'm just going to win, just because he can't attach multiple energy anymore. But never mind, there's a rare candy and a Blastoise. So maybe he will do that this turn. That would be kind of tough for me to deal with. You know, it's just going to be kind of rough, honestly. I need a DCE first of all to get a knockout. He can Hydro Pump for 4 energy. And then he can just respond with a Mewtwo of his own, and we could get into an ugly Mewtwo war. I don't know. So there's 4 energy on his Mewtwo. Gonna Deluge. He jokes based on the... I don't know if you guys saw the match from the Kenosha finals, but he took 2 prizes when he knocked out my Sigilyph in that match. So this time he's just grabbing 4 prizes when he knocks out my Sigilyph. So we're having fun here. We know each other. We know this is nothing serious. I mean, it's the finals. We're gonna play our hearts out. We're gonna do everything we can. We have fun playing Pokemon, but this is not a cutthroat kind of a thing. We're not gonna be angry at each other if the other guy wins. We're just playing for fun, happy to be in the finals, and we'll be happy for whoever wins. But yeah, sometimes, I mean, Pokemon's all about fun when it comes down to it. It's a competitive game. You always want to win, but it should always be about having fun first and foremost. And that's exactly what we're doing. So I had to discard another energy switch. That's kind of annoying. I might not have those anymore as the game goes on. You kind of need those to be flexible with your energy. I had a Juniper this turn going for the DCE, and I got one. So that is huge. Honestly, my biggest resource in this matchup is going to be double colorless energy. And it just, it's everything. It powers up X-Ball, it powers up Psychic. It's what you need to win in this matchup. And I was fortunate enough to get one there. Okay, so now I guess Jason's going to be going for, I guess, a Secret Sword this turn. This is tough to respond to. Sure, you could be like, well, you could just have Mewtwo and knock you out. But look at how much it's going to take for him to actually get that knockout. He's going to need to attach 2 to Keldeo. So he needs 2 water there. And then he needs to rush in, get a Mewtwo, get 2 more water, retreat an X-Ball with a Mewtwo. That's a lot of water energy to waste. And you might not have the cards to do it. So if he can just pull off a Secret Sword this turn for 110, that's probably going to be his best option. Yeah, it's going to be his best option, period. So he can just rush in this turn, Secret Sword. If he had 6 energy and could knock me out, that would be devastating for me. I don't think I could respond to that. That's just too much. But if he also had the Mewtwo, I don't think I could respond to that. That would be a lot to ask for, considering I've gone through, this is 2 DCE already. It's just I would need a Mewtwo, a Switch, a DCE, and then a Plus Power to deal with that. Or a Rebirth, which I don't want to do. So he's going to rush in. He's going to rush in again with another Keldeo. And then he's going to rush in with a third one. This is all legal. And then Secret Sword for 110 damage. And now it's my turn. So I have to decide now, what do I want to do? Now I have a very bad hand. I'm going to energy switch first of all, just save my psychic energy and put it on Sigilyph. That's something I need to do. But I also need to get an energy attachment this turn. If I don't do that, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. So I need to put down my Mewtwo. And painfully, I have to discard that whole hand. Can't really see what's in it besides a catcher and a tool scrapper and a Terrakion, but I had to discard all of it, and that is not cool. Now I get a DCE on the Sigilyph, which is huge. I get my third one out here. I can't see if I had to discard my 4th energy switch off of that Juniper. If I did, I'm just limited to manually attaching the rest of the game, and that is not fun. But I will X-Ball here for 100 damage, and we will go from there. Now this X-Ball is big because it sets up a Psychic knockout for 80 damage. And that's from Sigilyph. And then it'll force him to have either a catcher or another Blastoise with 4 energy. 5 this time, actually, because of the Eviolite. And then my Mewtwo can knock out his Blastoise. And then he'll probably run out of energy at that point. That's just all the game turns into. Him running out of energy and running out of Blastoises. That's why Sigilyph is so powerful in these matchups. You just force your opponent to attack with something they really don't want to attack with. So he puts down a Mewtwo. Now one thing he could do here is retreat this Keldeo and then attack with a fresh one. Now what that does is prevent me from being able to catch it out and Psychic for a knockout, because it'll only have 1 energy on it. And then he could Psychic, or then Psychic would only do 50 plus 10, which is 10 short of a knockout. So I would need a plus power and a catcher to knock out the Keldeo, or maybe like a last ditch effort would be to rebirth with Ho-Oh and get a knockout with it. Basically, it would just be very difficult to get a knockout on the Keldeo if he retreated it this turn and attacked with something else, but it might not be worth it for him. You know, like I said, he's running thin on energy, he's going to be. So he needs to play this as carefully as possible. And yeah, that's all there is to it. I mean, he had to use 4 energy on that first Blastoise. He's going to have 3 more gone on this Keldeo. There's just a lot of energy gone. And, you know, you do run out at some point. And your attacks are very expensive. So you can see I've used 2 catchers up to this point. I believe I've used all 4 energy switches. That is very scary for me that I had to discard those early on. It takes away a lot of my options in this matchup. We'll see what Jason does. I mean, he does have the cards to do that thing where he can retreat, energy retrieval, power up a Keldeo, Secret Sword with a new one. He does have the cards for that. But does he want to? That is the big question here. And the answer looks like no. It looks like he's probably just going to Secret Sword me here for the knockout. Those are very complicated decisions. And alright, Mewtwo goes down. Secret Sword knocks him out. Up comes Sucevich. And here we go. So this turn I'm just going to drop an energy on my Mewtwo in preparation for Blastoise knocking me out. And then I'm going to end him down to 3 cards. Because that's going to make it much more difficult for him to pull off a knockout next turn. And if he doesn't pull off a knockout this turn, then I think I'm in great shape. Now, this is just kind of the battle you get to. And it just comes down to how many energy the Blastoise player can draw. And can they get enough to knock you out consistently every turn? And if they can, Blastoise is going to win every time. There's no doubt about it. So from my point of view, I have to be constantly using N, disrupting him, hope that he doesn't draw everything. Because if he does, then, like I said, I lose. But if he doesn't, alright. Then I can just ping away at him with Sucevich and Mewtwo. And eventually I'll win. Now Jason does get a Skyla and a catcher in his hand, and a Mewtwo. So not the greatest things in the world, honestly. If he gets, let's see. Now the problem for him here is that even if he gets the energy to knock out my Sucevich this turn, is that really good? It'll take 5 energy to knock me out. It's probably going to have to exhaust all of his resources. And then, honestly, he doesn't have a Blastoise in play. He loses all of his energy to my Mewtwo X-balling him. And he probably loses. So it's obviously not a good situation at all. Let's see what he decides to do. Now I also have 2 prizes left, so just 1 more EX knockout and the game will be over. But that's easier said than done. A lot of stuff can happen here in the final turns. So there is a Skyla. Gonna see Jason grab, looks like he's gonna grab an N, which is an interesting choice. I guess he's gonna Tropical Beach this turn, so he's just gonna plan for the next turn where he can end me down to 2 cards, and then try to take my options away. He's also got a catcher in hand. He might decide to use one of those just to make it tougher for me to really do anything. There's a lot of decisions he has to make. He just did not get all the energy he needed off that end to, threaten me. And that's a big deal. So there is the N. He's going to take it. I believe he added just 1 for this second day. The first day he played this deck, there were 0 ends in his deck because he didn't think it was necessary. He thought if he just sets up, he wins every game anyway. So he just maxed out on like Biancas and Skylas, Junipers, Tropical Beaches. But now he's thinking, alright, end is pretty good. So I think I'm going to play one because I do need to disrupt people in some situations. It's pretty good, I guess. Now the question here is, will Jason rush in with Keldeo to take a hit, or will he just leave Blastoise up there? That's a weird choice. I don't think leaving Blastoise up there is particularly bad, because, you know, I can Psychic for 70, but, you know, doing 70 to Blastoise doesn't really matter when an X-Ball would knock it out in one hit once the 5 energy is on the Blastoise. So he recognizes this and realizes I don't need to put a Keldeo in danger for no reason, and I'm just going to leave Blastoise up there. Why not? So I'm gonna attach to my Mewtwo. I have a catcher. I'm thinking I need to just play as many cards out as possible. I'm gonna Juniper this turn. I decided to catcher up a Mewtwo, just because after this all I need is a catcher to win the game, and then I'm gonna Juniper for 7 cards. I get an Ultra Ball, which is very nice. That'll allow me to discard more cards and thin my deck out even more. So I'm gonna Ultra Ball and discard. Looks like switch and a fighting, because I don't think I'll need switches anymore. And take my Mewtwo. I can really take anything there, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, you can see I have 1 catcher left. I'm going to hit his Mewtwo for 100 with Psychic. And that means all I need is a catcher to win. So I put myself in the best possible situation here. This is where Pokemon Catcher can be very useful. I'm putting down this other Mewtwo because it really doesn't matter if I bench that or not at this point. I know he doesn't play Max Potion. I know he doesn't play Super Scoop Up or anything. So I'm just going to Psychic for 100. I also wanted to bench something to, you know, so I don't draw off of N. And, man, this is coming down to the wire here. He does have an N, so there is a shot that I could still lose. You know, he could just, I suppose if he has 2 catchers, he could just load up a Keldeo this turn, catcher up my Mewtwo, Secret Sword it for a knockout. Other option is to, you know, rush in, retreat the Blastoise, get a big Hydro Pump, knock out my Sigilyph. No matter what, he's going to need something to work with here. Alright, so there is an Ultra Ball. Just going to grab another Keldeo, probably. I don't think he has any Blastoises left, so no use really getting Squirtle. There is a ton of water left in his deck, actually. It's actually pretty unlucky for him not to have water in his hand right now. So he's going to grab a third Keldeo X, put that out there. But really, the problem for him is that there's 100 damage on that Mewtwo. I only have to take 2 more prizes to win. And all it comes down to is me drawing catcher, honestly. And it might just be a matter of time, because I don't have very many cards left. He can end me this turn, but then I could just Tropical Beach and, you know, win that way. I'm going to draw my entire deck, basically. He catchers up one of the Mewtwo's, the one with no energy, and then ends me. It's a good play. I mean, I benched that Mewtwo because I realized it doesn't really matter. Unless he ends me in consecutive turns, I don't really care that much. And yeah, I mean, I do have a DCE left as well, so I could always just draw the DCE. And all I need to do is get a catcher and win. So I'm really not worried at this point. There is a possibility I could lose, but I don't think he's going to get a knockout this turn, so I'm actually not that scared at all. My 2 cards are Tornadus EX and Bouffalant, which, you know, those are not the greatest cards to draw here. I might have to Tropical Beach next turn, which I'm fine with. And let's see, I have actually, let's see, I was worried that I wouldn't have enough cards left to even use Tropical Beach anymore, because I could deck out. But it turns out I can draw just enough with Tropical Beach. I have 8 cards total left, which means I can draw one for the turn, draw 4 more, and then I'll have 1 left in my deck, so that I can draw for my turn, and I'll have every card in my deck, and I'll have just enough to pull off the win. So there's the energy retrieval. I do wonder what he's going to power up with this. He's going to have to put it somewhere. He's going to power up a Keldeo. I'm going to take it back. Alright, he's going to power up a Keldeo. And then Tropical Beach for 5. Now I'll be able to draw here. I draw an N. Now this is where I have to count my deck. Let's see, there's 5 cards left. So I can draw 4 of those 5 with Tropical Beach. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And I have 1 left in my deck, so this worked out perfectly. And now the loss for him is inevitable. I have a catcher and a DCE left. And all I have to do is X-Ball his Mewtwo for the game, or Psychic. Both of those will work. And unless he ends me, the game is over. Because I know he doesn't play Max Potion, I know he doesn't play anything like that. And even if he did, I do have N in my hand to shuffle my hand back in. And I'm just showing him, you know, he doesn't have an N. So I'm just showing him the DC and the catcher. No need to waste time. I know he only plays 1 N, so no use dragging it out. And I'm going to take the first game. Just like every matchup with Ho-Oh, this is just a weird matchup where you really can't explain what's going on. It's just kind of a weird exchange of attackers. You have Blastoise attacking. Basically, all that was I played Sigilifs and Mewtwo's that game. That's it. Nothing else. Going first helped a lot. Having turn 2 Psychic helped a lot. And drawing into my double colorless at the right times was the biggest factor there. That is the one thing that the Ho-Oh deck needs to compete against Blastoise Keldeo. You need DCEs all the time to just X-Ball, to Psychic. Since you cannot use Ho-Oh in this matchup to Energy Accelerate, you need those double colorless to fuel your attacks, otherwise you're going to be behind. So I'm feeling pretty good about that first win. Again, this is a strange matchup. This is probably the scariest matchup for Ho-Oh because a lot of it is out of your control. A lot of it depends on your opponent. You know, if they get a ton of water energy, then you lose. Otherwise, if you don't draw your double colorless, you lose. There's so many little things. And it's just, it's a very difficult matchup to predict what's going to happen. And wild swings can happen both ways. Just with, you know, N, and with the amount of water energy you can draw, the unlimited damage output of Keldeo EX with Blastoise. So many things you have to worry about and keep in mind. And yeah, it's just tough to predict. And plus I'm playing against Jason, who obviously is one of the best players in the world. And I always expect him to give me the best game he can. And he's never going to make a mistake. I can't count on that. So it's really tough. So we're going to shuffle up here for game number 2. Jason lost the first one, so he'll get to choose who goes first. I think he's going to choose to go first since there's no actual disadvantage to that. And yep, I will go second for this one. So we're going to draw our opening hands here. Scared a little bit as I saw that Ho in my opening hand, but I open with a Bouffalant, which is nice. Ho-Oh, of course, is the absolute worst starter you could ever start with in every single matchup. It's only good to rebirth with. You don't want to start with it. That's the bad part of this deck. Scary, scary starting with Ho-Oh. But I'm going to get an extra card for my Mulligan. We'll see what Jason draws from his opening hand. Now, he's probably feeling a little frustrated after the first game. You know, things didn't completely go his way. And he mulligans once again. So I'll get another card here. So if things go according to plan, I suppose I could get like a turn 1 rebirth going. I didn't think about that. I mean, you don't usually get a turn 1 rebirth with Ho-Oh, but it can happen. You know, you could get energy in the discard pile with Ho-Oh. You could Juniper all that stuff away. You know, Ultra Ball stuff away. And then if you flip heads, you could get a turn 1 Rainbow Burn with Ho-Oh. Or you could get an energy switch onto something else. So there's plenty of stuff that can happen, and he's mulliganing a lot. I think I've gotten 3 extra cards so far. So I have the cards in my hand to Ultra Ball away a Ho-Oh. I have a DCE in my hand. If I flip heads and get an energy switch, I could get a turn 1 Gold Breaker. But the only way that's going to be good is if he has a lone Squirtle. I'm not going to put a Ho-Oh into play just to get a turn 1 Gold Breaker, because it's not worth it, honestly. It really isn't, because Ho-Oh can just get captured at some point and knocked out by a 3 energy Secret Sword. And oh, another mulligan from Jason. That is absurd. Basically, I'm going to draw my whole deck before he starts off here. Hopefully he doesn't mulligan too many times. We could get a Judge Ball, which... Judge Ball is the silliest thing in Pokemon. If you don't know what it is, if you mulligan too many times, a judge actually comes over and reveals cards from your deck until you draw a basic Pokemon, and then you shuffle it, and then you use that basic Pokemon to start with, plus you draw 6 cards, and you lose your option to choose to go first. So Judge Ball is the worst thing ever. And, ooh, Jason has like a really bad hand. He's got an Ultra Ball, so he can grab another basic at least. But he's got Rare Candy, Blastoise, Water. I guess that's not terrible, but I don't know. Does he have Rare Candy, Blastoise? I'm not sure. No, it's a weird decision. Like, he can Ultra Ball for another Squirtle. He can grab a Keldeo. I would think that... I don't know. What would you grab here? The odds of me knocking out a Squirtle turn 1 are pretty low. But then again, he did mulligan 4 times, so it is a possibility for him to get a turn 1... Or it's a possibility for me to get a turn 1 rebirth and knock out a Squirtle turn 1. That can happen. You know, with 4 energy switches, Ho-Ohs, all this stuff, that's certainly a possibility to do 60 damage on turn 1, which is higher because he mulligans so many times. And oh, he actually decides to pass instead of Ultra Balling for something. This is the moment of truth. I actually have the cards to do everything here. I have Ultra Ball away the Ho-Oh and a Metal. I have an energy switch and a DCE in my hand. This could be a turn 1 Gold Breaker for the win. I gotta question his decision not to play the Ultra Ball there. I'm not too sure why he didn't. You know, get another basic in play, survive. Seems very strange. I'm really not sure why he didn't do that. You know, he was talking to me and he said, you know, if you get a turn 1 knockout on my Squirtle, I lose anyway. So here's the rebirth, and that's heads, folks. And that means energy switch, DCE, Gold Breaker. Jason shows his hand and shows me his Rare Candy Blastoise. I don't know. I think he probably should have just Ultra Balled for a Keldeo there. But hindsight is 20/20. I had to get lucky to get a turn 1 knockout. And that is going to be it. 2 days in a row, I got the best of Jason in the finals. And I got pretty lucky there. But that's just Pokemon sometimes. So, thank you for watching, guys. I'm Pooka from the Top Cut. Hopefully this was an exciting match for you. Hopefully you learned a little bit about Ho-Oh. You learned a little bit about just how the game's played in general. And all that stuff. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. We'll have more videos soon. And take care.